Welcome. Thank you for coming. Glad you guys are here showing some interest. Just a little bit what it is. 10-month, basically runs the length of the school year. So it starts in August, ends in May. We have orientation, an evening orientation, a couple hours. That usually falls in July, late July. And then our first the opening retreat is in August.
And then it's as hot as possible.
And then we go outside.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of the background of the program. Acquire an understanding, issues, different things about Pensacola. Find ways that you can be more involved in the community, give back to the community, learn about the community. There's so many different facets of it that we can't really hit on it. Just kind of give you a taste today of what you're in store for if you choose to apply and are selected for the program. A little history about the program. Started in 1982. First class was in 83. It was obviously you can read up here, the goal to a community pool of talented leaders would be continually renewed, grown, encouraged. It's amazing how in communities, you have a handful or more of people that are always involved in everything. Well, we want to grow that pool, get more people involved, but also the more people you involve, the more connections you make, the more resources, the more encouragement you get from other people that are doing these things and giving back to the community. And if we can grow that, we're growing our community and make it even better. We're almost ready for you. You're right on time. LeaP vision statement to be the premier community awareness and leadership program in the Pensacola Bay Area. And our mission statement, and we just kind of reworked this recently, I love it, to identify, foster, and inspire current and emerging leaders. I think that's important. We're not just out there making leaders, but we're identifying and then encouraging. And I think that's really what the program is all about. And then to improve and enhance their community, our community. And I think that's really what it's all about. And without further ado, that kind of gives us a little bit about the program. We wanted to give you the perspective of another graduate. You've got a couple graduates here, alumni. We've already talked about our class. Probably, of course. Brent Lane, probably no stranger to any of you. Award-winning host, the morning show
later on.
of Cat Country 98.7. And without further ado,
well, I'll tell you what. This is the most philanthropic community I've ever been a part of, and I've only been in 3 in 30 years of working in radio. So I grew up in my hometown of Modesto, and then moved to San Diego and was there for about 11 years. And that community did not have what this community has. And I feel like this is one of those organizations that probably should be, and maybe they do at this point, but this is an organization that I feel like every community should have. If you haven't been through LeaP yet and you're investigating this as something whether or not you should do it, I will tell you it's a little like having the secret handshake, because you can't ever call somebody who has been in LeaP and be like, I'm in LeaP, oh, whatever, and they will definitely take your call, which I found as somebody who tries to get people on the phone on a regular basis. Pretty good, you know what I mean? Like when you're like, hey, it's LeaP 09, you have that secret handshake. And it's a little more than that too. I mean, a big part of this is I don't think you have a real understanding and perspective of our community until you get an opportunity to go through a class like that. The circles of perspective are important to how we make decisions as leaders, particularly in how we report on those decisions, and having a complete overview of that is very helpful. How does the base interact with our local government? Like, you'd be surprised in how big a ways those two things work with each other. It's a very symbiotic relationship, but you might not know that unless you had the opportunity to see the behind the scenes on both sides. You'll get that in this class. When you go and you look at what the quality of life is in our community, when you think of quality of life and you think of somebody else who thinks of quality of life, maybe they're in a poverty-stricken area of our community, there's programs that help with that. You may not have that problem, but you can see how you can plug into helping with that situation. And that's what LeaP gives you. LeaP gives you a perspective. And by having that perspective, it helps you start to contribute to this community as a leader. And so when you go out and you have the opportunity to work with areas that you became aware of as perhaps doing less than other areas, it gives you an opportunity to maybe find a strategic goal for yourself personally. I had no idea that I would serve on the MANA board for 11 years when I moved here 13 years ago. I'm now the longest serving board member of MANA, and I've watched that program continue to grow. Well, by taking the LeaP class, I got into LeaP probably about a year after I started serving on the board at MANA. Yeah, this would be my 10th year. Most award-winning class ever. But that's true. I can back that up. We got a gold Addy, y'all. But listen, you get the opportunity to really go in and go, this is not the only location that there's places where we can grow. It also gives you a helpful understanding if you have ever spent some quality time yelling about the school system or whatever, getting into knowing what's happening in the school system can certainly help give you some either a way to calm your friends down or help you figure out how to plug in and make it better. Right? So be the change we want to see in the world, right? That's a great quote. Well, LeaP is a great way for you to get that perspective in our community. Any questions? Is that enough? I don't know where to go. It's the first time, so I can do 30 more minutes. I can do 5. What do you need? 90 seconds? What do
you mean you're not shy in front of a microphone?
Oh. So,
No.
I mean, really and truly, like, you know, the opportunity. It's a volunteer organization, right? So you go in and you give back. I remember thinking the morning show partner I had it before Candy was Dana, and I remember her being in that LeaP class. And I remember being frustrated because it was like, well, she's going to miss all this time. And, you know, there's a lot going on in the middle of the year. And it's like, we just don't have one day to be gone. And then it was like you could tell she drank the Kool-Aid. And then I went through it the next year. And it was like, oh, I totally got the Kool-Aid part now. Like, This is cool. Like, and to give you the insight that you walk away with and be able to tell your friends about is really, I think, a big deal and something that you'll walk away to enjoy. It is the best $1,200 or I don't know where we at.
15 now.
We're at the best. It could be the best $40,000 you ever spent. Y'all will buy your own bus, driving around. Do you want me to answer questions?
No.
I don't know. What do I do?
If you have any questions, I think you're good.
Cool.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Love all
He
your
also, by the way, he volunteered this year as one of the co-chairs for Quality of Life Day,
Right.
and was there. And we started off, just a taste. He talked about serving on MANA. We started the day at MANA. Got a little background about MANA, and then did a project of actually pulling food and packing and doing stuff. So giving back during the day, not just waiting until you're done and graduated. So it was a
And I
good
think
day.
one of the other things that by being the 50 people in here, I mean, I did grad school before, and so those 19 people that I did grad school with, we're all still friends, but that's how I'd equate my LeaP class. Like LeaP 09, I think we have 35 members currently serving on a board in some part of this area. And we still hang out, and this is our 10-year reunion, which may or may not be, you know, condoned by the alumni committee if we still have one or wherever we're at with that. But we're gonna throw a party. You will find best friends, and you will also find that you will find parts of your passion that you'll be able to plug in with friends that you make. You know, maybe you didn't know you were really super strong on food, but by the time you get the experience to walk into MANA, or maybe it's the Humane Society or whatever, you might walk out of there with your own set of puppies. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very
all.
much. Appreciate it.
I'd love to take you through the jail at Quality of Life Day next year. We are having the jail PB&J. Have a great one.
Thank you, Brett.
Thanks.
So that gives you
Yeah, we just did the jail tour, which was
Yeah, that was last month, the
eye-opening.
infrastructure where we did the jail tour. So just a little bit about what LeaP includes. Class days. As we said, it's a 10-month period. There is mandatory days, but the class days are a combination of retreats, day-long classes. There's two class involvements that are overnight. There's the SimSoc, which is Simulated Society weekend. That's one of the mandatory things. And then there's a Tallahassee trip. We actually have that coming up in April for this year's class, where we spend a Wednesday and a Thursday during session touring the Capitol and so on. That's overnight. That one's not mandatory, but highly encouraged and a great opportunity to interact with the state government. So session issues addressed during the year: economic development, education, environment, transportation, healthcare, leadership and ethics, quality of life, which we just talked about. The experiences of those vary a little bit. We want to make them relevant to what's going on in the community. We want to make them educational with what's going on. We just had Education Day yesterday, where we started out at elementary school. We started out at Home Elementary School, which they do a lot with special needs. We got to sit in on one of the deaf classes, which is just amazing what they're doing. And there was one girl when I was in there, we were divided into groups, so we were moving around the classes, but I got there late, got there just in time. We walk into the deaf classroom. The teacher's over there working with the girl, and she's reading. And when you realize that for a deaf person to read who've never heard any of it, and yet they're able to then pronounce out and read, and she was so excited, the smile on her face. Then, of course, we all gave the symbol for cheer for the deaf, which is this here. And it's just amazing the experience and see what they're doing at that school and what they're giving and what they're doing for the community. And most of the class had no idea what was going on, what the education program at that school was. No clue. And now we know. So that's just a little hint of what you can learn and different things that come from the different class days. Just touch a little bit on the class project. It's a big part, and we've kind of revamped that coming into this current class. What we're doing is we're working with nonprofits. We're getting them to give us what's something we can do to help you. Not so much raise an astronomical amount of money to fundraise and do some huge project, put our name on it, but actually give back to the community. This year, we're doing a project. There's 3 projects that were chosen with 3 different nonprofits. We're doing one with Manna. We're doing one with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and then Gulf Coast Kids House. So 3 great programs. If you're familiar in the community, you've heard of those. Great organizations. Manna, what we're doing with Manna is just beautification of their new building, kind of landscaping and stuff outside, because when people come in to get food, they're already swallowing their pride just to have to go ask for help. We want it to look like a nice place to go in, not just some warehouse that you're walking in and having to get. So we're trying to help beautify, raise a little bit of money, give back to the community, just help bring some pride into an organization, into their new building. So that's something.
And just a little backup on that is that what we did is we invited all the nonprofits to come and present to the class what their need was. And then the class voted
Right.
on the different projects. So that's how, so the class decides on what the project is. We don't decide on it.
Yeah, the class got to choose, and by choosing, they were able to then took ownership of it. And once the class chose the 3 projects, then each class member got to choose which one they wanted to really focus on. So it's what passion do you have? What really drives you? What gets your interest? And that's kind of what we do. Time commitment, as everything, as Brett said, there is a time commitment. There's a couple mandatory days. You'll see those listed. Don't take note of any dates up here, okay? Because this is this current class. We actually have a meeting on Monday where we're going to set the class days, and before we send out any applications, every specific day for the classes will be on the application. So you get those before you apply. But this current classes, this is their class day. Orientation, opening retreat, SimSoc, and closing retreat are all mandatory days. The other ones, you can only miss 1.5 days. One thing you can is the Tallahassee trip we said is not mandatory, so that can work as a makeup day. So if you go on the trip and you missed, say, 2 full days, that knocks it down. You only actually missed 1 because you did a makeup. So just kind of how that works. But most people try to get to as many of the classes you can, and I'll tell you, you don't want to miss one because you don't want to miss something. I hated it, so I missed 1 day my year. And the next month we all got together and they all talk, oh, did you remember last month? And I'm like, got it, I missed it. And it sounded like I missed something important. So you don't want to miss anything. You want to go to everything that you can, and that's kind of the time commitment. 50 participants, that's what we narrow it down to. We take in all the applications, we have a selection committee, we try to get 50, the class size is 50. Cross-section of the community, men, women, different careers, education, political, social, all those different things. You can read it up here. The idea is we want a diverse class. We want it to really reflect the community. and from all different corners of the community. Honestly, that's why we're doing these. This is the first year that I've been involved with that we're doing, and we're doing another one in 2 weeks. We're doing the radio show on Monday. I actually heard our radio ad this morning. Thank you. Trying to get the word out. We're trying to expand and really get a cross section of our community and really grow the program so that we really have a greater impact. And that's really what it comes down to. The selection process, that's what it's going to be all about. Getting the best group of people, emerging leaders, and so on to go forward. Are we already at that part of it? Oh my goodness. I'm going to go back for just one. As the selection committee, dedicated alumni will talk and application. I want to give you a little bit about, is there a slide on here about the application? Is that the next one?
Yeah.
It's the one after this. Okay, we'll come back to the dates. Oh yeah, now I realize where we're at. Okay, so got lost. You'll receive the nomination is right now. It ends on March 1st. If you haven't nominated yourself or had somebody nominate, by the way, it's more of a interest form than a nomination form. Anybody that puts their name in there, they're going to get an application. So just put in your name, go on the website, the chamber website, put your name in that you want to apply, and you'll get an application. There's a $35 application fee, so you know the financial commitment. Members of the chamber, it's $1,500. If you're not a member of the chamber, it's $1,900. There are some financial aid and all these things. If you have basically anything on this slide, if you have any questions, Caitlin's in the back. Talk to her, and she'll help you out with any of the questions or anything, information like that. Selection process. This is what I was jumping ahead and wanted to get to. We talked about it's LeaP alumni make up the selection process. Application, and here's where where we want to go. The application, potential or demonstrated leadership abilities. Best thing I can say is, what are you doing in the community? Some people, I know it's hard, and I'm one of those people. I do a lot of things, but I don't always toot my own horn and brag about myself. Okay, it's just not in my nature to do that. When you're filling out the application, do that. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us how you're involved in the community. Tell us what you'd like to do in the community. I tell you, when I first applied to LeaP, part of what I filled out was, I want to get more involved. I want to do more. Where can I find more stuff to do? Believe me, there's no shortage of that. And so you can always find that. Based on the quality and depth of the answers is the selection process, your history involvement, your desire to be involved. There are, as you can see in this room, and the classes always have this, people that have been in the community are heavily involved in different organizations. There's always some of those. There's some that are just getting involved. And there's always some people like just came back to the community or just came to the community. I have a desire to get involved. I really want to get involved. I want to get plugged in and I need those contacts to do it. Where can I fit in? Where can I give the best to the community? Where can I make a difference? And there's going to be some of those. So again, it's that whole, so you say, well, I haven't served on any boards. Does that eliminate? No, it doesn't. Do you want to? Believe me, there's no shortage of boards looking for volunteers in the community. So it's just making those contacts and bringing everybody together. So the commitment to the program, attendance and participation requirements are all part of it. As I said, nominations or desire is due by March 1st. Applications will be sent out. They'll be due sometime in April, early April, right? Okay. We haven't set the exact date. We'll have sometime after the applications are due in April, sometime by the beginning of May, we will have our selection committee sit down and go through all the applications, make a decision. You'll be notified in June. Orientation is in July. We start in August, and we roll for 10 months. So that's kind of again, all the dates of the classes will be on the application. So you'll know before you apply. If you say, well, I just can't make those days, you'll know before you apply.